Okay, we're going to go down in the basement here and take a look at what's available. You can either take the elevator or take the ramp next to the view of the green pathway. Okay, so this is the basement, which it says next to the elevator, not too surprisingly. And on the left, there's a conference room. We'll look at that a little bit later. After the conference room is an area labeled Production and Operations Center. And that's an attempt to illustrate some of the server and database issues, a place to discuss them. Okay, there's a diagram on the wall that I'm going to zoom in on. We have over on the right some illustrative server racks, the size of the server rack corresponding to how many transactions one has in the large financial system. A sort of diagram of what we're trying to illustrate. Servers on the top and databases as small disk objects on the bottom. And two different databases illustrated with apples and oranges to recall the difficulty of trying to mix the contents of those two databases in a single database. Okay, let's take a look at an informatics area. This is planning, analysis, systems design, and implementation and evaluation, which is not shown explicitly. And you'll recognize some of these displays here. These are all things to help your team talk about how you're going to proceed. First, of course, is the schedule. Here's the schedule for the University of Colorado College of Nursing for the fall 2010 term. Posted on the left, so you can't say you didn't know. Next to that, we have a board. The left column is what the team thinks is the odds the next deadline will get met. And on the right is what the team thinks the progress rate is at the current time of the team from contemplating action to totally stalled. That's something for the team to talk about, is where we are. Okay, nursing 6289 has a number of stages shown on this PERT diagram, and a number of deliverables shown with little red dots down at the bottom. We have studying planning, coming up with a planning document due 9/15, analysis and analysis document 10/15, study design, design document due 11/17, study implementation, and the implementation document due in December. Of course, one of the big problems in meeting that schedule is who is available when to work. And I have certainly found this to be one of the biggest problems in group work, is looking ahead over the next week to 2 weeks and going, who can meet when, and how many hours is that total? And here nobody can meet on Tuesday, but people can meet on Saturday. But how many hours would you have to work to accomplish all of your tasks? And one of the problems in managing a project is keeping track of whether you're on track or not. We can get a higher granularity PERT chart, but one way of doing that is to have just a graph of what % complete we are with the next deadline versus, or deliverable versus date. And a 45-degree angle line right up from 0% of the time gone and 0% done to 100% of the time gone and 100% done is what you'd expect. Most actual teams end up being something like the line on the bottom instead of the line on the top, and you can see by the distance between the two how far behind schedule you are. So here it looks like a lot of work was done. The net result was only 75% of what needed to get done. And the biggest problem was way over on the left there. Things didn't start early enough. The rate of work was fine, but several days were lost getting started. There's a lot of work on the September 10th deliverable. These are the items on the planning document, which is due on the 10th. the organization description, information infrastructure, rationale, analysis, scope of the project, etc. But if you look at each individual person's schedules, it's more like furnish apartment, get the kids in school, do my homework. I'm supposed to actually be on staff on Labor Day, read the textbook, and take somebody to the airport and the car. And that's the problem, is where to get the teamwork done, regardless of best intent. Okay, back at this end of the room, not yet built, is an area for lab and x-ray. And let me just slide that wall back a little bit. Magic building in Second Life, and show that there's a framework back there of some rooms that will come. And I'll put that wall right back where it was and go on. There are bathrooms which are not needed and in fact don't have any facilities, but I thought we needed bathrooms. Okay, down at this end of the hallway through the conference room is an area labeled, well, first the conference room. A wonderful view of the ocean and the clouds from our perch in the sky here. And some very comfortable chairs. If you go over and sit in the chair, you can see it's a nice view at night, especially when the stars are out. And if you just want to talk to one other person, it's a nice place to sit and get away from other people. In here, Center for Community Informatics, possibly people from one of the advanced practicum seminars may be working in here. People from an actual company may be working in here. There may be desks of people. And it's rooms for sort of context, what's going on out there in space, in our community. There's the Earth slowly rotating up above. Can we sit up here like a fly on the wall and watch them working? And could we actually go down and go, what are you actually doing in informatics? It's a place for exchanging information with people who are actually deployed in the field. Well, that's the basement at the current time. I'll click on the elevator. And before I go upstairs, I'll zoom back a little bit. You can see the outside of the building. This is a case in which normally only the inside of the building is seen, but if I spin around, you can see that there actually is a little elevator out here going up and down. And doors open automatically, and I'm going to walk over to one of the clinic rooms where we were earlier, and then you'll be able to see. So this is me